to really have FU money in today's world, especially if you live in a large Western coastal city, you need like 10 million bucks, you know, for being honest. There's 6 sources of income to become absolutely wealthy today. And I've talked about this many times on my channel. I'm going to expand on it even more in a book in my follow-up. I'm not going to go into the details, but one, it's C-suite jobs, CEO, CFO, CTO, that kind of stuff. Licensed professionals, doctors, lawyers, surgeons, accountants, dentists, whatever. High ticket sales, you're selling yachts, jets, mansions, you're getting a percentage of that. Number 4 is fame with an audience. It's difficult to define, but it's essentially actors, musicians, influencers, people that are creators. You know, I would probably distill it down to, and they have people that listen to them or pay attention to what they have to say. When Kim Kardashian says, buy my Spanx brand, women in droves click the button and they go and buy the Spanx brand, right? STEM, software engineers, tech leads, that kind of stuff. I've talked to lots of guys on consults going through Divorce Grinder that have made $700,000-$800,000 a year working for companies like Amazon, Facebook, or whatever, just doing codey stuff, like the geeky stuff. And number 6 is entrepreneurship, which is basically my chosen path. And I'll tell you more about why, you know, in this video, and the relevancy between the playing to win and playing not to lose concepts. Let's skip over the part about real estate tools. Now, here's something that's interesting, because a lot of people still get mad at this, and I don't know why, because it should be obvious as daylight to people by now, but the scamdemic was a scam. So 1 through 5 on that list there, where I was talking about CEOs, doctors, athletes, musicians, all this stuff, all of these people, actors, doctors, athletes, lawyers, CEOs, they all wore face diapers. They all got jabbed. They all bent the knee. They all use pronouns in their bio when they're asked to by corporate. They all eat the woke rainbows, and they follow their agenda, because you're still part of that. You still have to conform. You know, you still have a governing body in regards to what it is that keeps your license on the up and up. Society doesn't really want freedom. They want free stuff. So that's what we end up voting for, generally speaking. Okay. And it comes at a price of yielding to their agenda. Monkey see, monkey do. Don't ask questions. Do as you're told. Stand on your dots. Whatever it happens to be. Whatever the next thing, whatever the next scam happens to be, whatever that's going to look like, whether it's climate lockdowns, whether it's a new variant of some, you know, airborne virus, or whatever it happens to be, ask yourself, how's that working out for you? How did that last one work out for you? You know, did you get where you want? You know how many people messaged me during the last scamdemic? They are telling me that if I don't provide proof that I was vaccinated, then I'm going to lose my job. What do I do, Rich? I don't want to get this stuff. I haven't seen it tested. I don't think I need it. I'm young and I'm healthy, but I have a roof over my family's head, and I have a mortgage to pay, and I have obligations, and we're already fighting. So what do I do? And it's like, what do you want me to tell you? This is what you created for yourself. These are the choices that you make. And I'm going to tell you right now, it's not entirely your fault, but it is your fault if you allow it to happen again. You know, the whole once bitten, twice shy sort of thing, right? Code of the Matrix, anti-fragility. We'll talk about this a little bit more too. You guys know what anti-fragility is? There's a book called Anti-Fragile. Okay. There's 3 physical states. There's fragile, anti-fragile, and there's robustness. Fragile, you take a glass, you drop it, it's going to break. It's fragile. You want to ship that to somebody, you got to put loads of popcorn wrapping and bubble wrap in it and put a big fragile sticker on it. When chaos is introduced to that object, it generally fractures, breaks, and it doesn't respond well to it. You do not want to be fragile as a human being in life. Robustness is a better place to be. And that's the equivalent of just taking a burlap bag and filling it with sand. I can ship that to somebody and not put fragile on the outside of the box. Doesn't matter. You drop it, nothing's really going to happen, right? So that's something that would be considered robust. The concept of anti-fragility is something that improves with chaos. I said this, the other day. Most businesses, most storefronts, most restaurants, a good buddy of mine owns a gym. He almost got cleaned out in the scamdemic because he couldn't open up to the public. The margins in that sucked before that to begin with. But a lot of these businesses almost got cleaned out. Some of them did. Guys like Jeff Bezos or Walmart online shopping or Amazon or eBay, for example, did very, very well. That's a concept of anti-fragility. When chaos was introduced to the equation, they improved. I want you to think about that. Where in your life, where chaos has been added to your life, has been included into the blender of bullshit that you blend up every day in your life, because there's all kinds of inputs that you put in this thing, right? Have you found an opportunity to become stronger, to improve when chaos is introduced? Most don't, right? Like at the end of the day, the government doesn't care about you. Big pharma doesn't care about you. Employers generally don't care about you. Large corporations certainly don't give a shit about you. Hollywood doesn't care about you. But we, and when I say we all, as a culture in society, defer to that as the authority and trust. You'd love to have sovereignty as a guy, but you really don't. They want you on their plan, plugged into lives, paying taxes, in debt, following the rules, bending the knee to the trending thing that controls the masses, right? 1 week, it's masculinity is toxic, Gillette razors, right? The next week, it's some guy named Dylan that thinks he's a girl, puts on a dress and does commercials for women's makeup lines or light beer. Now, my take on all of this is the absolute best way to escape it all is to become an entrepreneur and build a business that you can run from anywhere in the world. I'm going to put the ticker up on the bottom. I should have done this at the beginning because I've mentioned the School of Entrepreneurship's open. There is a link in the description. You can click that and start there. It's only open until the end of the week. The problem, though, is that this playing not to lose mentality, this mindset, is infused in every faction of life, including entrepreneurship. Most people that start a business, within 3 years, 9 out of 10 of them fail. So you've got basically a 10% success rate if you're lucky. And that out of the 10% that succeed after 3 years, of those businesses, very few of them never crack $1 million in annual sales. They're the mom and pop shops that are, opening up a storefront, doing alterations, might have a small hardware shop, a landscaping business, or whatever, a daycare, doggy walking service, any one of these things, right? They never usually crack $1 million in sales. And what you end up doing is you've ended up, because you've played not to lose, because you've done the conventional thing that you've always been told to do, you end up in a scenario where now you're an employee of a company that you founded, maybe with 1 or 2 other people working there, making about the same money as you would have if you were just an employee at Bob's company. The biggest difference, though, is you have more headaches than you would have if you worked at Bob's company, because Bob deals with all the bullshit. Bob deals with any lawsuits that come in, any labor board, issues, any complaints from HR. Bob deals with all that because he's the founder, he's the owner. You just punch your clock and go home. So if you're making the same amount of money as what you would be if you're working for somebody else, that's actually a better position to be in. Sure, you get a little bit in the way of write-offs, but you're still paying the same tax levels because you're still on payroll the same way that you would if you were be working for Bob, sort of thing, right? So this is a very common mistake that a lot of entrepreneurs make in life when it comes to making choices in the kind of businesses that they run. I've said this before, it's a noble effort, but they've often created a company that employs them, and they pay themselves the same, exposed to greater risks that they have to deal with, right? And if the state says, oh, lock everything down for the next scamdemic, you got to comply. And guess what? You're now the owner of the business at that time, right? Employees were able to go home, collect a government handout check. Most of them made out A-okay. But when they were called back to work, they were called back and they said, okay, well, now you got to take these experimental jabs. Some people will go to college, they'll go and get their degrees or educations, whatever. And, those things can cost tens of thousands of dollars a year in books, tuition, if you're staying on campus and that sort of stuff. And you're basically taught, again, by tools of the matrix, right? Like I've often said, I'm not a big fan of post-secondary education when you get into colleges and universities and stuff like that, because most of them today, anyway, have a lot of wokeness infused in the culture. There's far more women in universities and colleges today than there are men. There would have been a time where that would have been like a good thing. But now with Me Too's and false accusations and like the woke narrative and the rainbows that want to cram down your throat, unless you're in a field or an area like STEM, for example, or a degree that's going to give you the right to practice law or become a surgeon, for example, they really don't add up. They don't make a lot of sense, right? That's the whole point on why I created the School of Entrepreneurship. Okay, it is a distilled version of everything that I've learned over the last 26 odd years when it comes to anything to do with running a profitable business that you can run from anywhere in the world, and it's easy and fun, right? There's 3 circles. Let me see. Here it is. Come on. I usually pull these up and put them back on. There's 3 interlacing circles. A lot of people have asked me about this, and I need to keep this handy for you. Let's see if the camera will focus. See that? When those 3 things overlap in business, you love doing it, you're good at it, and it makes money. That centerpiece, that gold part, is where the magic happens. I really hope you guys enjoyed that clip. If you want to watch the full-length podcast, you can find that over here, that clip's from. If you're newer to the channel, make sure you hit subscribe over here. And pinned down below in the top comment, you'll find a bunch of useful links to my website, my supplement line, books, and a bunch of other stuff. Have an amazing day. Peace out.